Today in Finland, I am at the Marimekko factory. So I thought this would be a really exciting time to just kind of bring you around and show you a little bit of behind the scenes. These factory tours are always so amazing for us because you get that background kind of view of a company, and you can see a lot about a company and what they represent from their factory. And so just to give you a little bit of a history, even though I believe that probably most of you know plenty of things about Marimekko, but it was begun in the 1950s in the post-war period, and it was explained here today as merry dress, trying to bring this happiness to people's eyes, particularly in the post-war period in which people were having a lot of financial and emotional difficulties, particularly here in Finland. Another thing that is always brought up to us is how dark the winters are. And so it was really obvious as we spent our time in Helsinki that there is a lot of color and a lot of fun and bright patterns. So they have 3,500 patterns in their collection, and then between the 4 seasonal looks that are brought out every year, they have 4 collections. They do continue to work with their archives. One of the things that's so fun about that is some of the most popular designs were created in the 1950s and 60s, but they continue to be very popular today, particularly when they are using a new colorway that is more of a fit for today's society. When we went through, the factory here is on Fridays, they actually are out early from the printing factory, so it was a lot more quiet than a factory usually is. But we got to see that they create more than 1 million printed meters per year right in Helsinki. They do it in 2 different ways. One is a roller system, and then the other is a flat screens. So if you aren't aware of how screens are created and how a printing technique works, when you're looking more at it's very similar to chromolithography, but instead of a painting in which you would have this pattern and on one flat surface you would do one color and then you would wait and then you do another color and then you'd wait and then you do another one. Each individual color needs to have its own pattern, and when it is printed when it's printed flat, it's done with a screen, which so each one of these colors would have its own layout on each individual screen. So that means that you have to really be focused on making sure that everything lines up correctly and that everything is going to be, when you print the pink, that it is going to fit within the lines of the black. And we got to see them a little bit working on the flat screens, which was so interesting because for the most part it's done machine, but you do have people who are putting down, making sure that all the screens are laid down, but also putting down the paint or the ink. And then the machine, using magnets, is able to kind of pull that ink across the screen, leaving the registration on the fabric. After that point, it needs to be steamed to be able to make sure that it doesn't wash out. Interestingly, the last process is quality inspection, which is done by eye. They said that with the whimsical nature of their patterns, computers were not able to figure out if there was a quality mistake. But a lot of the people who are working here have been here for years. There's a lot of pride, and we saw that throughout town, that people have a lot of pride in Marimekko. Another thing that I thought was really funny was that originally, especially in the 50s and 60s, you saw a lot of florals coming out. And famously, the company stated that they would never create a floral, which is probably one of the patterns that they are most known for today. But of course, designers, you know, if you're told not to do something, you're going to do something. And then out of the dozens of floral patterns that were created, 8 ended up coming into the collection. And those are some of the ones that you see the most today that people are the most interested in. Another aspect of that was brought up was one of the longest lasting collections is just the vertical stripe that is not perfectly straight, but you have these beautiful colors that are used on a seasonal basis. And it was explained that particularly in the 1960s, as people were fighting for equality of all sorts of different types of equality for different populations throughout the world, they wanted to create something that was able to be bought by anyone and worn. It's a unisex pattern, it's a unisex fit, so that it really does fit that equality type of idea that they wanted to bring, that happiness in everyday objects that is obtainable by anybody. And I think that's one of the things that is really so heartening about Marimekko and why it has this staying power, is that there is never going to be a time in which people don't want some sort of happiness in their everyday environment. You know, they were saying that that's one of the great things about their tableware collection, is that so often you see with their tableware, it's very much breakfast types of goods, due to the fact that you start off your day with that, like, you're having coffee in your beautiful mug and you are having eggs on your beautiful plate, and it is just a happiness to start your day. And I thought that that was really, really lovely. Finally, I asked about the ways in which they create today. So often we are seeing patterns that are primarily done on the computer with Marimekko's kind of aesthetic. That's not necessary. The perfection is in this whimsical imperfection. Even a lot of the circles that you see have sharp edges. They aren't perfect, they aren't smooth. The lines don't need to be absolutely straight. And so some of the designers here do work on computer, but they really have a wide range of materials to work from, whether they want to work with acrylics or pulling patterning or working with paper. It really is this creative, hands-on kind of experience for the designers here. And what I really liked also was that, talking about this Finnish pride in Marimekko, is that they work with a lot of new designers. They were stating that one of the heads of design actually works at the Aalto University, where a lot of the design is coming out for students. It's one of the main design universities here in Finland. So as one of the instructors, he really is able to speak to a lot of these designers, a lot of these young people who are coming out with really great designs. So I really hope that you enjoyed this really quick tour of the Marimekko factory, and hopefully next time you head into one of their many stores in America, which interestingly, I didn't know this, was that it was brought into America. They were already working in America. However, it really took off after Jackie Kennedy was photographed in some of their designs, which of course still today, if you see a photo of something Jackie Kennedy was wearing, it's just this timeless design. And she was such a fashionable woman that it pulls into American history in that way as well, I believe, that gives us this kind of happiness in what they are creating and in the fashionable women of our time that we have always kind of looked up to. So next time you head into any of those stores, I hope that you remember this quick little tour, and if you have any questions, please let us know. And until next time, thanks so much.